annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's a breezy, warm day out there with a record high possible. The record high is 86, and we could hit 86 or 87 degrees this afternoon for a high under partly cloudy skies. Should stay dry. Overnight lows will be mild in the 60s tomorrow, again in the mid to upper 80s, right about where we are today. And it looks like a chance of showers and thunderstorms moves in on Tuesday night into Wednesday and through the rest of the week. There will be periods of rain. Not raining all the time, but some pretty significant rainfall totals by the time this week is over. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Hello and welcome to Monday afternoon. A nice day outside as we kick off the week. Last couple days of March. April starts this week. That's just crazy to me. And we got a lot to talk about. If you hear what sounds like, a building crashing down coming out of your speakers today. I don't know what they're doing in this building, but they're building maybe just a whole new building. I'm not sure. So don't know if it'll get through, but if it does, that's what's going on. And I apologize for it if you can hear it. Hopefully you can't. A lot to talk about today. We have got the story. I heard Jamie talking about this, but can't wait to dig into this story myself. This Michigan Democrat. Last week we talked about Democrats being exposed. In fact, this has happened now like 3 weeks in a row. We had the situation with Gavin Newsom's wife, and some of her comments in the past being resurrected, and not a good look for her or for Gavin Newsom. We had the Democratic senator last week. The story, again, another former quote that was resurrected and causing a bad look for the Democrats when the senator said that undocumented immigrants are the most important people to the Democratic Party. That's their focus. That's the people that they are. The ones that they quote care about the most. So we've got a little bit of a streak here of Democrats saying the quiet part out loud and getting in trouble for it, and that has happened again over the weekend with this guy in Michigan who is running for U.S. Senate, who, thanks to a report from the Washington Free Beacon, leaking audio of him discussing how his campaign should handle the United States situation in Iran and with the Ayatollah's death, and how he said that there were a lot of Americans and a lot of people there in Michigan that were very sad about the Ayatollah being killed. So he didn't want to, highlight that, and he wanted to make sure that they focused on all the negatives of starting this war. And it's just unbelievable stuff. So we'll give you some of those quotes and dig into that a little bit as we go through the afternoon today. Speaking of Iran, growing alignment between China, Russia, and Iran is raising some new concerns about the future of this conflict. Something that it kind of looked like a week ago. I think it was exactly a week ago today, last Monday. We started the week talking about how Donald Trump said that he thought this first phase of the conflict would be over in 5 days. And then the negotiations and some of the things that developed last week, didn't allow that to happen. And now we have, at least according to some experts, the potential for this to drag on for a lot longer if these reports about China and Russia and all the support that they're providing Iran are true. We'll dig into all of that, get you all that information as we go through the afternoon. CPAC was happening over the weekend. We've got some news coming out of that, including Marco Rubio continuing to gain momentum when it comes to the idea of who could possibly be the person to take over after Donald Trump is, after his administration is over, after his presidency is over. That has been, I think, in many people's minds, long ago concluded that would be J.D. Vance. But according to a lot of Republicans that are being polled on this, Marco Rubio is a very popular person. Also, back to Iran here, Spain is at it again, causing problems for the United States and our ability to execute the military missions there, once again blocking the United States military from using air bases and airspace in Spain, despite being a NATO ally. We got the latest on the government shutdown. We got the Supreme Court taking up birthright citizenship. I'm telling you, it is going to be a crazy busy week, and we will be here for you to cover it all as it unfolds. Today, joined by a whole lot of company, we're going to talk some local issues in the 3 o'clock hour. Josh Wilcutt, who is running for school board in the city of St. Charles. Those big school board elections are 1 week from tomorrow on April 7th. So really important stuff. Looking forward to that conversation. That'll be about 3:25, 3:30 this afternoon, somewhere in there. Also in the 3 o'clock hour, we'll have our weekly AI big tech conversation with Mike McClary from Intervine. And about half an hour from now, 35 minutes maybe from now, we will talk to Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments, get a check on the economy and the markets as we kick off another week here. And on the line right now to start things off with us, as he is every Monday, somebody who can hopefully provide a little positivity to the conversation when there's not a whole lot of positive things to focus on. The great Gabe Phifer is on the line with us. Buddy, how are you?
Hey, happy Monday, and I absolutely do have positive things to talk about today, too, in particular. And honestly, I think they're bigger than what the news cycle is suggesting.
No.
So you want me to head
Yeah,
it off?
let's go. Just
right.
Start us off. Go for it.
All right, number one, Artemis 2 is about to take off, and that launch is scheduled for Wednesday, I believe. And that's going to take a crew of 4, the furthest away from Earth humans have ever been.
Whoa. Okay. What
Yes,
direction? Up, down, left, right?
Now, this is a part of the Artemis program, which is intended to create a permanent and continuous human presence on the moon.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Artemis 2 launch is basically kind of the dry run. We're going to have an actual human crew on board, and they're going to do not quite a flyby, but essentially they're going to swing around the gravity well made by the moon. So in doing so, as they come around the backside of the moon, they're going to reach the furthest point humans have ever been from the Earth's surface.
That's where the aliens are, Gabe. That's where the aliens on the dark side of the moon. That's where they're at.
Exactly.
I hope we find out. Hey, okay, so that makes a lot of sense because that's what I thought. I thought the Artemis mission was surrounding the moon. So this is as part of that mission and as part of the, getting prepared to land on the moon and checking out the moon. We will, as part of that, we will also have the furthest manned spacecraft going away from Earth. That's pretty cool as part of this. That's awesome.
Right. That's right. And of course the Artemis program, I don't think people understand how monumental the goals of the Artemis program are. I think 2027 is when they do a test launch of the lander that they're going to have there. So it's going to do its own flyby. Have some orbital testing. No, actually, it's not going past the moon. It's doing some low Earth orbit testing, and then 28 is the actual landing date that they're eyeing right now, I believe.
April 20. What 28? 2028. Okay, all right. Sorry. No, that's me. No, you said it right. I just jumped the gun.
I'm talking years.
I thought you said the 28th. You didn't. You said 28. I thought you said 28th, and I was like, wait a minute, the 28th? Well, what?
Wait a minute. Whoa.
My bad.
No, but in 2028, we're going to have boots on the moon again for the first time since the 70s. So that'll be excellent. And the Artemis program is promising yearly missions to the moon in order to not only build but to continue to stock a permanent base on the moon. Like that's the intention of this program.
So a base on the moon is strictly for security purposes and maybe some technological purposes with like satellite signals and things like that, right? We're not going to start building like subdivisions on the moon, are we?
Well, it's actually, I believe it's 90% research that's going to be going there on the moon. Now, there's going to be a lot of development in terms of the technologies, the processes, and the I guess the logistics of dealing with humans who are designed to live on the Earth, living on the moon in long term. How do you build stuff? How do you grow stuff? How do you recycle the air? Is there anything on the moon that we can use? They're going to be doing a lot of exploring. Can the microgravity on the moon or in lunar orbit be used for manufacturing purposes? Is there something we can do there that would have some commercial value, and then we can monetize this whole thing, and then it's off to the races. So I think a lot of that's going to be what the main focus is early on, and then sky's the limit. Or actually, the sky isn't the limit.
No, not anymore. Here's a really dumb question that makes me feel like I skipped first grade. How big is the moon, Gabe?
Oh, okay. And I'm
like,
can you
what I mean is like, how much stuff can you put up there? Are you extremely limited by space, and we're talking about only a certain amount or finite amount of things, or is it is it big enough that you're talking about like vast amount of space for I guess I should say vast amount of room, not space, to grow and construct and build whatever over time that needs to be up there. Does that make sense?
I believe, and it's been a while since I've seen these numbers, but I believe the moon's diameter is equivalent basically to the distance across of Australia. Across the continent of Australia. So
pretty big.
It's pretty big. And considering that most of Australia is uninhabitable desert, it's pretty equivalent actually. So so the concept of we're not going to fill it up anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it that way.
That's kind of what I was. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. We're going to be way past peak oil before we reach peak moon surface.
So I actually can find a way to make your positive space news. I can put a little negativity in there. Believe it or not, that's how good. That's how good I am at.
That's how good you are
at being negative
and Nancy.
Pessimistic. Yes. I don't know how I missed this when it originally happened, but NASA astronauts Mike Finke, I think is how you say his name, on January 7th, this astronaut on the ISS lost the ability to speak while dining aboard the ISS just after preparing for a spacewalk. The episode lasted about 20 minutes. No pain was along with it, left him feeling fine afterwards. However, it was this big concern, and this guy's unexplained loss of speech aboard the International Space Station in January has triggered the first medical evacuation in the station's history. The 20-minute episode, which occurred without pain or warning, remains undiagnosed despite extensive testing on Earth. The incident raises concerns about astronauts' health in space and the limits of in-orbit medical capabilities as missions, like you're laying out right now, venture further from Earth. Now, certainly, this could be something that would have happened on Earth and is very explainable. But the concern here is now, I guess he's getting these tests. The concern is if this was somehow triggered by, his time in space, that could be a bad sign for this, these developments that we're talking about. What do you know about this issue, and are you concerned about it?
I'm not particularly up on that specific case, but I am aware. I've actually been an intern doing some research back in the day in the medical effects and dealing with the medical effects of what it's like to be in microgravity. Because the thing is, like I said, our bodies were designed to operate at 1G. That specifically the amount of gravity that the Earth places on us on a regular basis. So the thing is, and things behave very strangely when you remove gravity. Strangely to us, because you've only ever experienced what it's like to live in gravity. In the gravity of the Earth.
Just drinking water can be tricky, right? I mean, right?
Yeah.
And eating and drinking can be very, very tricky.
Absolutely.
In that
I mean,
environment.
You don't spill water in space. You just the water becomes a sphere that floats around until you drink it, or until it hits something else.
Yeah, or until it gets somewhere that it's not supposed to be, and that can be bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm wondering if maybe under the influence of microgravity, his vocal cords did something strange. Maybe they hit a resonance frequency where his muscles couldn't overcome it to move them again for a little while. So things like that aren't things that you can test for on Earth. They're not things that you can even diagnose properly on Earth or treat properly on Earth. Because once you get back into the 1G, things go to normal, and then whatever issues you may have had in microgravity just kind of go away. So that's part of the exploration. That's part of the idea of what I say. When I talk about dealing with the challenges of long-term space missions, having a base on the moon or a base in space and things like that, is you're going to encounter these very random and strange phenomenon that you have to deal with, and you're going to learn new things. You're going to learn new techniques.
That is News Talk STL contributor Gabe Phifer, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning right here on News Talk STL. Gabe's going to stick around for another segment, and we are going to get down from outer space and talk about some of the things happening here. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I got one more good news story too.
Oh,
it's a quickie though. But yeah,
is it space?
When we come back.
Is it more space?
No, it's not space, but it does have to do with the future of humanity.
I love it. I love more positive news. Then I'm going to talk about this Michigan Democrat who stuck his foot in his mouth. No, he didn't. No, he didn't stuck it. He got caught is a better way of saying this. And we'll get into all of that and more as we continue with Gabe Phifer next. Just a whistle of a long black train. You don't know
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
I'm telling you, there's something about this nice weather that just wants you to get outside, start moving around again, and maybe start thinking about some of the big purchases or the future for you and your family. And one of those things could be selling your home. And of course, if that is something that you have been considering, there is no better team to call than the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. You guys have heard me tell my stories related to Rodney and Jen Wallner and our family. You know, me directly, Christine and I, a few years ago, selling our old home and buying our new home. And then more recently, my mom going through that exact same process with Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team, and our own Jamie Ullman, who's part of the Wallner Home Selling Team. And that's just two examples of friends and family that I know personally, and, you know, like I said, and myself also, that have just had the best possible experience selling our home, and for many of us buying a new home, all thanks to the Wallner Home Selling Team. And right now is a great time to do that. Of course, you know the stats. The Wallners are selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. They're approved and licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the metro area, the Wallners can help you, and they have so many approved buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. There is no better home selling team in St. Louis than Rodney and Jen Wallner. So if you're thinking about selling your home, you need to call them now. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story when I was going to be a Golden Gloves boxer.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. We've got News Talk STL contributor, the former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning, Gabe Phifer, on the line with us. And Gabe is trying to combat my pessimism and negativity with positive stories as we start this week, which I truly appreciate. So back to you. What?
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about the Artemis program, the space flight coming up that's going to take humans further away from Earth than they ever have before. That is a very positive story. And now you've got another good one for us. So hit us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm not sure how plugged in you guys have been on what's going on with Twitter, but there is an absolute love fest going on between U.S. users and Japanese users right now on Twitter, and it's kind of the most beautiful cross-cultural thing I've ever seen happen in social media in the modern era.
I'm not familiar with this, but I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So here's the thing that we kind of didn't know up until recently. Now, while there are like 105 million Twitter users in the U.S., that's like a third of our population, basically. Japan has 70 to 75 million users over there, and that's like 68% of their population. So basically, most people in Japan use Twitter, and we haven't been seeing it. It hasn't been recommended to us because obviously you can't read the Japanese Twitter feed until now, because there's an auto translate system that has been implemented on the X platform. So you can get, and we have been getting recently now, Japanese content just translated to us in English. So there's been a lot of cross-cultural discussions now between Japanese and U.S. Twitter users, and it's all love, man. It's kind of amazing. Everybody's just talking about how much they love each other's culture right now.
I think that's wonderful. And was it just that? Was it just the introduction of that translation tool that introduced us to the I guess more positive Japanese Twitter than our version of Twitter usually gets credit for? Or was there like an event, or was there like a some kind of common ground that started this, or was it just that introduction of that tool that allowed us to communicate that kicked all this off?
Honestly, I can't tell, based on the traffic exactly what tipped it off. I know there are a number of posts that kind of went viral across both the Japanese and U.S. Twitter. One of which was a commentary on, at least the one that I saw, a commentary on Trump's Pearl Harbor joke. If you remember, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
When the Japanese leader came over, and it was absolutely a positive thing. It was like, thank you, Mr. President, for making a joke about that, because we've been feeling guilty about it for 80 years.
Wow.
And now that you've made a joke about it, we feel like, okay, you've moved past it. It's like we're friends now, and we can actually feel good about it.
That's good. Well, wow, that's exactly the opposite of what the mainstream media and the Democrats said. So that's pretty. That's pretty amazing. Yep. Well, good. You know what? Twitter needs some positivity on that platform.
Oh yeah, and Japanese people have been expressing their love of American culture, particularly Southern and Texan and Midwest culture. They love rodeos and barbecue and muscle cars, and it's kind of wild. It's like, wait a minute, did we just have kind of a digital barbecue together where we just kind of sat around and talked about how much we think each other is cool?
That's fantastic.
They talked about cowboys and we talked about samurai, and everybody was having a good time.
And I love Mario and Pikachu, so we got that in common too.
Yeah. Now, to the larger context of this, I think being able to converse this way on a regular basis through a system that provides automatic translation allows, I think, a level of community that I think the globe has yet to actually encounter. Because right now, all of the cross-cultural discussions have been through gatekeepers. Either the translators and the translators of our media, the people, first of all, the people who create our media. So Japanese only know us through our movies halfway, and of course the translators of our movies. But and of course our diplomats and those people who are capable of communicating directly. But having regular members of a particular culture being able to interact at large scale with regular members of another culture without the barrier of language, at least in this case, has proven to be a real big success about creating a sort of a true. I would say this is the best version of any sort of global society that humanity is moving towards. I really hope this continues.
I can't wait. I'm going to try to get on Twitter and get in on some of that.
Yeah, jump on there, man.
I mean, seriously, that's
go to your For You page and see what's going on. I think a number of people have jumped on that may show up in your feed.
A positive social media story for once.
Yeah.
That's as good as it gets. All right, allow me to bring the mood down again.
Please do. That's fine. It's fine.
Talking to Gabe Phifer, of course, News Talk STL contributor, and as I said, we were talking about this. Jamie and others throughout the day today talking about this issue, but this is my first crack at it. So, and I want to get Gabe's thoughts as well. Michigan Democrat running for the United States Senate is facing backlash after a report on leaked audio showing him explaining why he shouldn't take a public position on the death of former Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei because of people in Dearborn, Michigan who were, I guess at the time, quote, sad. This guy, progressive Democrat Abdul El Said, he is a physician and politician who served from 2023 to 2025 as the director of the Department of Health, Human and Veterans Services for Wayne County, Michigan, and as I mentioned, is now running for U.S. Senate. According to a report from the Washington Free Beacon, he was recorded in a staff meeting strategizing about how to address the Iranian leader's death after he was killed during the U.S. Israeli military action. And by the way, you can go get this audio. I was gonna play it. It's the whole thing is 35 minutes long, and it's full of cussing and other things.
Okay.
So
that's a big ask.
Instead of trying to chop
station.
up this 35 minutes and then with all the editing, I just kind of wrote. I got some of the transcripts here, and you can find this audio out there. I mean, it's all it was posted by the Washington Free Beacon, so you can go get it if you want to hear it. Progressive. So anyway. He said, as part of it, quote, "I'm just going to go straight to pedophilia, frankly." El Sayed is heard saying about his response if pressed by a reporter on the death of the Ayatollah. He said, quote, "I'll just be like, pedophile president decides that he doesn't like the front page news, so he decides to take us into another war."
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
really?
my gosh
Wow.
is right. It gets worse, too.
Gosh.
He also told his team.
Gosh.
Yeah, it gets worse. He also told his team in reference to the significant Muslim population in Dearborn, Michigan, quote, "I also want to remind you guys that there are a lot of people in Dearborn who are sad today. So, I just don't want to comment on Khomeini at all. I don't think it's worth even touching that." This guy recently faced another controversy for agreeing to team up with Hassan Piker. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's an extreme left-wing streamer on platforms like Twitch, and I think he's on YouTube also. He's the guy who made headlines a couple years ago for saying that America deserved 9/11, or 9/11. So that's who this guy is. That's who this guy's friends are. And again, it's like I said, it's 35 minutes long, so there's a whole lot in there. Another part of it, he said that he was worried that Trump will, quote, "get a big bump from this, and it'll make Trump look strong." And that was another reason that he didn't want to talk about the United States taking out Ayatollah Khomeini. So, yeah, this guy's running for Senate in Michigan, Gabe, and this is the mindset. This reminds me, and I mentioned this earlier, this reminds me of the story last week about the senator that said the people that the Democrats care most about are illegal immigrants. We are getting, from these reports, we are getting a true look behind the scenes and into the mindset of this progressive Democrat Party and where their priorities are. Their priorities are with illegal immigrants and with worrying about the Muslims in their community that might be upset about one of the all-time greatest evil terrorists being finally taken off the earth, which, by the way, from many reports, that's not even true. There were many Muslims celebrating that this murderer had been removed from the planet. So I'm not even
particularly the Iranians.
Exactly. So, yeah, another example of exposing the Democrats for how backwards, gross, dangerous the mindset of that party is. What do you make of this?
There have often been times where President Trump will say something, or some particular Republican, maybe a local or national figure will say something, and our various Democrat friends and influencers and public figures will basically look at the nearest Republican and say, "Hey, explain this," and they'll kind of put it on you to run interference for whatever silly, stupid, or otherwise innocuous thing.
We lost you there for a second. You okay? Are you on the Artemis space shuttle right now? Oh, no. What is happening? Oh, did we lose him? Gabe, are you there? See, he brings all that positivity, and then the other side doesn't like it. Nobody likes it, and then they go and they try to sabotage our conversation with Gabe Phifer.
When they
Hey,
come and say, "Hey,
are you
did
back?"
hear Trump said, "Huh?"
You were gone for like the last 45 seconds. I don't know what happened.
Dang it!
It sounded crazy. I don't know.
Really?
It sounded like you had suddenly fallen underwater. And
really?
And,
oh my God!
Yeah, I think
I've just been talking.
I think somebody out there doesn't like you trying to be positive. And
hey, I'll say this. You guys just missed out on Radio Gold there.
I bet we did. I bet we did.
Okay.
You want to take one last chance? You want to take one last shot at this? This guy.
Yeah, I'll summarize it.
Yeah.
But basically, the Democrats, the same people who want us to explain every F word that comes out of Trump's mouth, are very quiet when it comes to them having to explain actual significant discussions about focus and policy and positions that Democrats have been slipping up and talking about recently. So the fact that Democrats put illegal aliens and dead dictators over the will and interests of the American people who supposedly they're supposed to represent is crazy to me, and it's crazy that nobody's talking about it as much as they should in the mainstream media. But of course, we know how that goes.
That is such a great point. That the bus footage before the first election, the grabber, quote.
Yep.
People will, and by the way, and I'm not defending that in any way. He should have been criticized for that. But
now, of course,
they have long memories.
Is a celebrity talking about how he deals with groupies.
Yeah, right.
Let's be fair.
Yeah,
he's not talking about how people should deal with female constituents in a political.
Yeah, there was a lot of context that's left out of the reporting on that.
Yeah.
But long memory about something like that. But when these things happen, like the senator last week saying that illegal immigrants are the people that Democrats care most about, and this guy, talking about how he doesn't want to give Trump, he's going to go straight to pedophilia, which is just a wild take on when trying to cover up or not give any credit to the president for taking out one of the biggest terrorists in the history of the world. I mean, that they can do whatever they want. I mean, think about Eric Swalwell, Adam Schiff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of these things that these guys have said and done, the lies that they've told over the years. And
let's not talk about Fang Fang.
Nobody nobody brings those things back up. Makes them answer for that. But it's a totally different set of rules on the other side of the aisle. I think that's such an important point. Gabe Phifer, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning News Talk, STL contributor. Great stuff, as always, my friend. Really appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you again very soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
Yeah, back at you, buddy. Awesome stuff there. As I mentioned in the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to talk to Josh Wilcutt. He is running for school board in the city of St. Charles. Those very important elections are a week from tomorrow. Our AI expert, Mike McClary, joins us in about 20 minutes, and our financial expert, Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments, joins us next.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. News, analysis, opinion.
We've got to get an FBI that is back focused on protecting the homeland.
Every single Democrat has always said that we must never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Weber Chevrolet is ready for you. If you are ready to purchase a new vehicle, or even if you're just looking to sell a vehicle, we never really talk about that. We talk about how nobody gives you a better deal on your trade-in than Weber Chevrolet. But, if you just want to sell a vehicle, Weber's buying. Whether you're buying on the other side of that deal or not. Just one of the many things to keep in mind when you're thinking about the great team at Weber Chevrolet. Nobody is going to give you a better deal on a new or used vehicle. As I mentioned, nobody's going to give you more on your trade-in. And above all that, and what I think makes Weber stand apart from the rest is that nobody's going to take care of you in that vehicle for the entire time that you have it better than the team at Weber Chevrolet. I'm telling you, I can't even count how many times, I've been extremely worried about an issue that one of our vehicles was having. And to know that, you have a team that you can trust to explain to you exactly what's going on and take care of that problem as affordably as possible. The service department at Weber Chevrolet is truly, to me, what sets them apart from the rest. That's why they have been in business in the St. Louis area for nearly 125 years. That's why they are consistently at the very top. And it's not even close, like by a mile at the very top of reputation scores and customer service ratings and things like that when they come out year after year, month after month. Weber Chevrolet, just absolutely the best. So if you're thinking about buying a new vehicle, check out what's happening at all 3 local Weber Chevrolet dealerships by going to WeberChevrolet.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capastrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Paul Curtman's financial update is brought to you by PR Curtman Investments, providing customized strategic guidance to help you build and protect your wealth. Learn more at prcurtman.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. We are getting Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments on the line as we speak. Quick reminder after that great conversation with Gabe Phifer. I love it that Gabe started the week. He had his own stories, positive ones, ready to go to help start the week on a on a positive foot when there's so many other not so positive stories to talk about in the news. If you missed any of that conversation with Gabe or just want to make sure you never miss anything that happens here on the show, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day on basically every podcast platform out there. So wherever you get podcasts, on that platform, your favorite podcast platform, just subscribe to Colombo and Company, and you won't miss anything that ever happens on the show. All right, I think we have made contact with Paul Curtman. We're having, somebody's after us today. We had a little technical issue with Gabe Phifer, and now a little technical issue with Paul Curtman, but I think we got Paul on the line. How are you, my friend?
Hey, doing good, Tony. Glad to finally make contact.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. So I do want to dig into a couple of stories with you, but we got to start with the way that we always start. Paul's with us every Monday to help kick off the week and give us a check on the economy and the markets as we get the week started. So what is happening today?
Well, we're kind of starting the market off a little bit like we did this time last week. The S&P 500 is down about 0.75%, and that's having the S&P 500 begin to flirt with correction territory. That's when the market is down 10%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is already there today. The NASDAQ has been there for a few days. It's actually down 13.5% from its all-time highs. So correction territory is when the market is down about 10% from its highs, and that's just very healthy for the market. Of course, what's putting pressure on the markets these days is the war in Iran. Whether or not that war continues, if there's a quick resolution, will have a lot to do if the markets recover sooner rather than later. But also there's other sectors like the technology sector that's had so much investment in AI technology, so much development, and of course, the market's wobbling a little bit there as different companies report their earnings and what those investments in AI look like. So there's different there's different things at play right now in the market, but I think one of the biggest ones has to do with the war in Iran and the pressure that's putting on the Straits of Hormuz. The price of oil is $114 a barrel today. That's inflationary. And, of course, the Federal Reserve is going to look at that and determine what they're going to do with interest rates. So there's just a lot of moving parts right now.
You know, man, you touched on a couple of big ones right there. And the length of this, at least initial phase of the conflict with Iran and the war that is happening right now. 1 week ago, I talked about this at the top of the show. When we started the week last week, we started with a statement from President Trump that he had put on Truth Social that he thought that this first phase of the war and the bombings and things like that would be done within 5 days. And then obviously that quickly changed after various reports of negotiations, maybe not going smoothly and more issues coming out of the Strait of Hormuz and things like that. So, we start this week with a very different story. And I touched on this again also at the beginning, but just to give a little details here. According to many reports, including from an interview today with Maria Bartolomo, the Gordon Chang, Gatestone Institute senior fellow, Gordon Chang, who's an expert when it comes to foreign affairs, was talking this morning about the growing alignment between China, Russia, and Iran. And to be as quickly as possible with sort of explaining this, it's kind of like exactly what we've been doing with Ukraine. In that war with Russia, the United States, we're not in that war necessarily, but we've sent lots of resources and assistance to Ukraine to keep them in the fight over the last, number of years now. And more reports are showing that's exactly what China is doing with Iran. So Paul, when you talk about like how long is this, how long this continues, this war in the Middle East and the war with Iran could make it worse and worse for the markets and worse for the economy. If these reports are to be believed, that China is now sending weapons and resources and money to the forces of Iran to keep them in the fight, that could be impactful in a very negative way down the line. What do you make of that direction, if that indeed is the path that we're heading down?
I think that probably is the path that we're heading down. I also think that President Trump and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth did anticipate this a little bit. I believe that this is exactly why the U.S. went and captured Maduro first. Otherwise, China and Russia would have had an ally and a staging point here in the Western Hemisphere. So I think that there's been a lot of thought put into the fact that China and Russia were probably going to engage somehow. I've also seen those reports. A few weeks ago, I saw reports about China disguising over-the-road missile carriers that would be moving armaments down towards the Middle Eastern region. And they've been disguising those as, heavy operation cranes that you would see used in construction. I don't know if it's true. I just saw reports coming from Asia kind of to that end. I don't think for a second that China and Russia are going to stay out of this. They're going to meddle. This totally disrupts China's Silk Road project. Back when Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan, immediately China moved in and started laying claim to the influence of the Afghanistan region. And the reason for that is because they have an economic development agenda and they're playing the long game, but necessary to that is Iran. They have to have Iran in order to pull off their global economic agenda. So for them to not meddle, for them to not be involved, I would be highly surprised if they didn't. However, for all the oil that needs to move through the Straits of Hormuz, 20 to 30% of the global oil supply has to move through the Strait of Hormuz. The globe has an interest in making sure the straits are open. What I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see people begin to align with China and Russia in order to bring this war to an end. I want to see them align with America. So when Spain announces that they're not going to allow the U.S. to use their airspace for this war, that's kind of concerning. But then again, that's a NATO allied country, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm just hopeful, though, that President Trump I'm sure that this is happening, that the same amount of planning into next week, that they're going to have the same kind of planning, the same type of forethought and insightfulness as they had the 4 weeks leading up to the air war in Iran when they went after Maduro. So I think that a lot of these scenarios have already been run. But is it going to put pressure on the market? Yes. And what does the market move on? The market moves on confidence. And so if people don't have confidence that the war is going to wrap up soon, that will for sure put more pressure on the market and more pressure on the price of crude oil.
Man, I wish we have about 3 minutes left. I wish we had about 3 hours left, because you bring up so many important things, with just this conflict with Spain, and then the Straits of Hormuz, and China and Russia being involved in this. And all of those things, and how much it impacts the war, which impacts the economy, and especially when it comes to things like gas prices. But then also, there's other things like this government shutdown, which I think is in day 45 right now. There was a little glimpse of reporting that on Friday morning that the shutdown was basically over, but that was quickly that shutdown talk was quickly shut down, for lack of a better word, after there was an agreement in the Senate but not in the House. And now Congress is gone for their Easter break for 2 weeks. So we're 45 days into a government shutdown. We seem to be back at square one. Trump did try to help things with TSA with that executive order last week, but Paul, that situation can't be helping matters much either. What impact is that having right now?
Yeah, that's just not going to be sustainable long term, because there are proper channels for the government to have funding, and it's not supposed to come from the White House. So President Trump has at his disposal some strings that he can pull. He has some levers that he can push and pull to make sure some funding goes to different places. These are his cabinet positions. These are his different agencies that he can direct funds to if he has the funds. But the purse strings all lie in Congress. So for 45 days for Congress to not be able to get to the other side of this funding issue, this is going to be problematic long term. And the closer we get to summer, I think we talked about this a little bit last week, Tony, the closer we get to the summer, when travel begins to pick up, when more business travel begins to take place, this could begin to cramp the travel industry. And of course, there's so many other sectors that are contingent on the ability for people to be mobile, or for businesses or for products to be mobile. And right now, TSA is kind of at the heart of all of this. The security behind our transportation infrastructure is not being funded. And if we're going to be at war with Iran, that's just one more reason to make sure that we have the security that we need at these different transportation hubs.
Man, great stuff as always. And we talk to Paul every Monday, but we're going to be keeping him very close on the phone. I have my phone halfway dialed to your number, I think, for the next couple of weeks, because it's going to be – I just feel like there's so much happening right now with the conflict in Iran, with the government shutdown, and with other things happening around the country, that we are in a very we're in a very important time to really be up to speed and monitoring what's happening with the economy and with the markets. And we really appreciate your help with that every week, Paul. And of course, if you are looking to make sure that you are on the right financial path, you need to call Paul and his team at PR Curtman Investments. Paul, thank you so much as always for your time, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon. Probably really soon.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, buddy. All right. We have got, as we wrap up a packed 2 o'clock hour, we got a packed 3 o'clock hour coming up. We are going to talk to Josh Wilcutt, who is running for school board in the city of St. Charles. He's going to be with us at about 3:30. Those very important elections happening all across the area a week from tomorrow. Very much looking forward to that conversation. And our AI expert, Mike McClary from Intervine, joins us next.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore for Window World. Did you know that in just over the last 20 years, Window World of St. Louis has improved the look and thermal efficiency for over 80,000 customers in St. Louis? Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now, Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS. They're the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump threatens to seize Iran's main oil terminal in the Persian Gulf.
Trump has told the Financial Times the U.S. has, quote, a lot of options, and that troops could stay on the island for a while. Iran has threatened to mine the Persian Gulf if its territory is invaded. The U.S. and Israel kept up attacks on Iran, even as early ceasefire talks showed some progress. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One Sunday, Trump said the U.S. has been negotiating with Iran both directly and indirectly.
We're doing extremely well in that negotiation, but you never know with Iran because we negotiate with them and then we always have to blow them up.
Trump also said Iran has agreed to let 20 oil ships pass through the Strait of Hormuz. I'm Mike Hempen.
Senator Tom Cotton says Democrats continue to reject Republican efforts to end the partial government shutdown and the Department of DHS.
We've made multiple efforts to fund the Department of Homeland Security, even on a short-term basis, to allow negotiations to continue. And the Democrats would rather you miss your flight than deport illegal aliens. It's as simple as that.
After weeks of chaos in the airports, paychecks are flowing again, and that has the Senate feeling free to go ahead and take its Easter recess.
The Senate stands adjourned until 7 a.m. on Thursday, April 2nd, 2026.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has a message for young Americans looking for work in a tough job market. Don't give up and don't worry too much about being replaced by artificial intelligence. And he told Harvard University economics students that the Fed will keep a close eye on inflation amid those high oil prices.
Because you can have a series of these supply shocks, and that can lead, the public generally, businesses, price setters, households, lead them to start expecting higher inflation over.
On Wall Street, it was a mixed bag at the closing bell. The Dow up about 40 points. The NASDAQ down 206. More from townhall.com.
Sight and Sound Films presents Benjamin Franklin.
Reverend Whitfield?
A match made in heaven.
Or just a deal made in a print shop?
Two voices.
My friends, do you want to be free?
One idea.
The Constitution needs to speak to the heart of these people.
A new nation.
You are the lightning bolt, George. I am just the lightning rod. And who is the source, Ben?
A Great Awakening. In theaters this Easter. agreatawakening.com for details. Rated PG-13.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN Hearing.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're going to be near record warmth again for Tuesday. We do add in a chance for a couple isolated storms late day and evening, though. Low of 65, dry in the morning, a high of 86. The record tomorrow is 87 from 1981. It'll be breezy. It'll be warm again. Let's watch for an isolated storm in the afternoon to evening hours. And then Wednesday, mostly cloudy to overcast. A little cooler, but still on the mild side with a high of 75 degrees. A little better 40% chance for some isolated storms on Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Fox News Commentary with Guy Benson, next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Benson on the murder of a Chicago college student.
And I've seen some people say, well, the system failed Sheridan Gorman. And I would submit to you, no, it did not. The system, as designed by the people who ran the country for 4 years and the people who still run the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, the system operated as designed. The system did not fail. The system welcomed in millions of illegal immigrants, unvetted, released them into the country. The system allows people accused of crimes and arrested to just walk back out on the street. And the system goes out of its way in places like Chicago to protect illegal immigrants even after they commit crimes. The system actually worked. It didn't fail. It worked the way that these Democrats designed it. And Sheridan Gorman is now dead. How many more?
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hey, welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it worked out perfect. I'm Tony Colombo. What a busy 2 o'clock hour. If you missed any of it, go back and check it out on our podcast. Great conversation with Gabe Phifer and Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments. As I mentioned, coming up in this 3 o'clock hour, in about 20 minutes from now, we are going to talk to Josh Wilcutt, who is running for school board in the city of St. Charles. Those elections, we're going to be talking a lot about school board elections and local issues this week, even more than usual. We talk about those local issues a lot already, but those elections, those April elections, are just 1 week away, next Tuesday, April 7th, across the area. So very much looking forward to this conversation with Josh Wilcutt in a few moments, and looking forward to the conversation that we are about to have with Mike McClary from Intervine, the company that makes the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps on the market, and also our big tech AI expert here on Colombo and Company. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good, and hopefully I'm coming through okay here. There are some internet issues going on right now.
We're kind of 0 for 2 today on smooth connections with guests. So we'll see how it goes. But right now, you sound loud and clear, as always.
Excellent. Before we get going, you mind if I do a quick shout out to my son?
No, please do. I love this.
It is his birthday today, and so just want to say happy birthday, Connor. We love you. Awesome to still have you here helping me with my business, because I couldn't do it without you.
That is fantastic. Happy birthday. Woohoo. Woohoo.
And get back to work. Stop listening to the radio.
So, only because you bring up your son's birthday. I don't make a big deal about birthdays at all. I barely even recognize them, but since we're talking about it, I gotta say it, and it makes me feel even closer to your family and your son. My birthday was yesterday. So he and I have something yes, my birthday was yesterday. So we have something very, very in common, fellow Aries. So that's awesome.
Well, birthday to you as well.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm not really a big birthday guy. It's not like a anti, like, oh, I don't want to talk about how old I am. It's just not, I don't know. It's just not something that I've ever really, made a big deal about. But if we're talking about birthdays and I can celebrate it with a with a friend, if I can celebrate together with a friend, then I'm all for it. So yeah, happy birthday. That's great stuff. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So lots to talk about here when it comes to AI, like there is every week. I mean, there's just never a shortage in AI stories out there. It was interesting. I don't know if you heard the conversation with Paul Curtman a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the economy and the markets, as we do every Monday with Paul. And he talked about like the things that are impacting the economy and the markets the most right now. And he said number one is the war in Iran, and number two is AI news and developments, and how, as every week it seems like there's another big story. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, about companies making massive investments or big construction projects, or on the other side of things with companies making layoffs, or some report about AI replacing jobs, whatever it may be. These stories are massively impactful on the markets already, and that's only going to get, if it's already has that kind of influence on the economy and the markets, Mike. We're just getting started. It's going to get much more entwined as time goes on.
I mean, you're right, because right now it's mostly predictive, because everything we know about AI right now and the way businesses are using it, companies are building it out, companies who are planning to use in the future, it's all predictive. Not many companies are actually using it right now to replace a lot of their current, I say, workforce, and also just all the other things they have done in their business, their technology, their infrastructure. They're all planning on using it. And so if we are seeing these, like you said, these big of effects right now, imagine when it starts happening. The first time you hear of a major company saying, we've just outsourced our entire accounting department, or outsourced, half of our engineering department. I don't think it's going to come like that, but if it does, imagine what will happen the first time a big company does that. You're going to see a huge decline in the stock market, because they're going to expect it to happen to, they're going to expect it to follow suit, because that's what companies do, right? They don't want to be the bad guy.
Right.
They wait till someone else does it, and then they all follow suit.
You're spot on, and this leads me perfectly into this report that I wanted to talk to you about, because there's a big report out today from the BBC so what you just explained, and the idea of AI taking some jobs or replacing, some human workers in various industries, that's very real. That's going to happen. And, I'm not at all saying that that's not, not the case. However, according to this report from the BBC and some other reports that I've read recently, you just said it perfectly. Big companies, little companies, bosses don't like to be the bad guy. Companies don't like to be the bad guy. So, according to these reports, there's a new trend of just blaming AI when a company wants to cut back on employees or whatever it is. So, to read you a little piece of this report from the BBC. Sweeping job cuts at big tech companies have become an annual tradition. How executives explain those decisions, however, have changed. Out are buzzwords like efficiency, overhiring, and too many management layers. Today, all explanations stem from artificial intelligence. And it goes on to talk about how, yes, like we said, some of that is real, but some of that is just an excuse being used by these companies that want to make these cuts anyway. It's a very timely and convenient excuse to use, which is great for the company, but not exactly great for the development and acceptance of AI. If there's already enough real concerns with AI, Mike. If it's getting blamed for things that it's not even really impacting, that's bad news, in my opinion. What do you think of this?
Yeah, it doesn't need any help getting blamed for that. Trust me, you're right about that. It gets blamed for a lot, and a lot of that is, it can be real. It could come true in the future. We don't really know yet. No one really knows all the impacts of it, but I see it already. I mean, we saw on a similar angle when OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT, decided that they were going to put advertisements in their Chat GPT. All the other companies were against it. They're against it. As soon as they did it, Google announces, hey, we're considering putting some advertising in our free versions of Gemini. Then Anthropic mentions, hey, we may consider doing something, but we're not quite sure yet. Like it's a perfect example. Every company waits, they don't want to be the bad guy, and then they all start using that, even if they didn't really plan on it, as their excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, like companies make cuts all the time, make decisions all the time. They should be making efficiency decisions, growth decisions all the time. They shouldn't just blame it on whatever the hot topic of the day is. And AI is the scapegoat of the day.
Yeah, for sure. Which is just super, super interesting. And just another thing to file away and keep in mind, if you're ever concerned about one of these reports and you're hearing that AI is the reason that, whatever cut happened, I want to look into it just to make sure that is the truth, because it might be. But it might
Tony,
also
I
not
can tell you though, that like here, my personal belief, and I believe this at my core right now, is that the companies that are going to be the strongest and that will thrive into the future are the companies that are going to embrace AI and grow with it instead of just cutting costs with it. So instead of thinking about how can we just cut costs and increase our profit margins right now, think about how can we keep as many people as possible and increase performance, increase the number of products we have. How about improve the performance of our products to customers, like them better? Like those are the companies that are going to offer more at the same cost and actually generate higher revenue. Those companies will grow because growth is everything in the business world.
Boy, that's such a great point, because, and those are the kind of companies that, I know that I want to support, and I know that you want to support, and so many people that listen to this station want to support. There's going to be a decision made by a lot of businesses, big and small. Hey, we can keep doing what we're doing, and replace some people with AI, and keep selling our service or product or whatever it is, and just keep it on the tracks, and that'll be great. Or you could embrace AI and grow with it instead of being complacent and saying, like, look, we can replace these jobs with AI, but then that also opens it up so we can do some hiring over here and start to grow in a new direction or area. And and supporting those
100%.
types of companies are, I think, going to be very important moving forward with this. I think that's such a great point. Last week, our big conversation, a big topic of our discussion with Mike was surrounding the focus on robotics, and how, here recently, or at the sort of, beginning of this AI takeover, for lack of a better term, we've talked a lot about chatbots and videos and music and, all the things that that AI can do on the internet or on your phone or on the computer for you. But a lot of these companies now are moving to the next phase, which is the idea of actual physical robots, working, or even, being an assistant in your home. And this is crazy. I'll have you fill us in on this. Sora, which is like one of the biggest, that Sora watermark was just on every freaking AI video, it seemed like, for months. All across YouTube and TikTok and things like that. Sora is basically killing that video division to focus on robotics, and that division is huge. I mean, they've made a massive mark for themselves with that. So to walk away from that is crazy. Give us these details.
Yeah, so Sora was one of OpenAI's biggest bets several years ago. And we all saw the initial, I guess, preview videos that came out of it that were amazing. And yes, they cherry picked them, but they were amazing. It was the first video tool out there that people were really excited about because it looked realistic and it had voice, it had sound. It was great. And then it just struggled. Google came out with their version of it, which actually was a lot better. Other companies came out with their versions, but OpenAI kept wanting to really make this one of their pillars of their business. They have chat, they have coding, they have this video. They're going to be getting into music at some point. Well, they were at least, but they realized that they can't do everything, and that if they really want to start driving growth and revenue for the long term, they have to focus on where they see the biggest growth potential. And so they decided that if they're going to invest time, computer chips, engineers, developers in robotic AI or physical AI, they had to cut something. And so they cut just last week Sora, one of the biggest video platforms out there. And along with that cut, and I shouldn't be laughing at this because this is kind of like scary, sad, I don't know what you call it. They had $1 billion deal with Disney, where Disney was going to pay them $1 billion in some type of royalties or revenues for being able to use their Sora video tool in Disney productions and shows. And OpenAI just cut it, didn't talk to them. And Disney found out an hour after OpenAI had made the decision public. $1 billion deal.
Wow. And which just goes to show you, if they're willing to shut down Sora and walk away from $1 billion deal with Disney. First of all, $1 billion deal is hard to even really, really imagine. Like, we can say those words, but that level of investment and partnership is absolutely, just astronomical. But also, that's the first deal with Disney. Where could that have gone? Exactly, down the line.
Right.
So if they feel like that there's more to be made by shutting that down and focusing in the area of robotics or other places, whoa, that just goes to show you how much. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Does that sound right to you? That could be a better use of money than $1 billion partnership with Disney?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Because how many people right now are out there paying a lot of money for getting a video made? Not a lot, to be honest. There's just not a lot of people out there. You get subscriptions, and it can be a good business model, but most people are going to, not want to pay, a couple $100 a month just to get videos made all the time. Maybe agencies, studios will want to pay that, and they'll pay some premium prices, but they're a very small part of the entire economy. However, how many people are going to want at some point to have robotics in their factories and their businesses, or robotics at home, helping take care of our aging population? That growth potential is astronomical. And one way to think about it is just a few weeks before, and we talked about this as well, NVIDIA, one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable companies in the world, worth like $1 trillion, I think, something like that. Their annual, I can't think of the GTC, I think is the name of this, their big convention they had, it was all about robotics. Every single thing that they're doing when they're building these chips is moving towards robotics. And they've made all their money off of making chips just for like ChatGPT. Like, it's a different type of architecture, and they've done skyrocketed them from a video card company to an AI first company, like one of the most valuable companies in the world. And even they are saying, you know what? We're just not going to make them for the normal AI anymore. We are focusing now, having entire divisions focus on AI robotics. And Google's doing the same thing. Other companies doing the same thing. It is really the next big wave in AI that we're going to be seeing here.
So just for a little clarity, because I think when people hear robotics, they immediately think of Rosie from the Jetsons, and they think of, iRobot and that sort of thing. And I'm not saying that that's not going to happen because it probably is going to happen, but it's so much more than that. We talked to you last week about the U.S. military investing in these small little like spider-like robots that can crawl on the sides of naval ships and go underwater and fix these boats and these ships in the Navy way more efficiently and and quicker than humans can, that are just, like scaling the sides of these boats. And there's, there was a story out not too long ago about a robot, like security dog, these robotics being used on assembly lines and things like that. It's not straight to rosy. There's so much more to it than that for the AI robotics.
Yeah, the main area, and I didn't even think about this till maybe a month or so ago, is manufacturing. Businesses, we do not have enough of a skilled workforce right now for the existing manufacturing that we have, and not even close to where we want to when we're bringing back manufacturing. We need skilled labor for our workforce, and that is where the big push is going to come first for robotics. And those companies are the ones that have money to pay for it as well. So they could, roll out maybe 5,000-10,000 home robots, or they can roll out 50,000, 100,000 manufacturing capable robotics. That's where it's really going to come first, and then it'll trickle down. And that's kind of a good thing for us consumers as well, because with businesses investing most of the money and the time to test these things out, then the costs start coming down afterwards for consumers. So we may have to wait, a year or two, and I'm okay with that, because I don't want it going out there and going crazy in my house. So I'll wait a little bit. They'll invest.
Never forget the Iron Fist King.
For all of us.
Never forget the Iron Fist King.
You know what? And did you see that Melania actually had a robot with her last week during one of her public appearances? It was a Figure 03, I think, robot. We talked about this maybe last fall. One of the companies really making headway. They had a robot come out with her and kind of tell people what it was, and that it's a teacher, and that's what it does. It helps teach people, like who teach kids primarily who want to learn about robotics. That was a big step last week, at the White House, having a robot come out with Melania.
Yeah, no kidding. And just anybody that, because I still think that there is a little bit of a mindset out there with a percentage of people that thinks that this is eventually going to go away. Like it's a fad that's going to go away, or it's going to be, AI is going to be around, but it's not going to be, have the influence and be part of our everyday lives like we talk about every week. That people think that maybe that's not really how it's going to happen.
It's coming.
Yeah, the first lady's walking out with a robot at the White House.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's a statement there.
That is a statement. That's why these conversations are so important. Mike, thank you as always for your time. Mike McClary from Intervine is with us every Monday afternoon to talk about these AI issues. And of course, don't forget about his company, Intervine, the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps on the market, from the heavy-duty outdoors stuff, the heavy-duty lanterns and the tech flashlights, to the small lanterns or the smaller flashlights that you can put in a drawer of your home or a glove box of your vehicle. All of them super bright, very reliable, and just the best products you're going to find in that area. And you can get all of those products for 25% off right now just by using my name, Tony, Tony, at Intervine.com. You can even stock up on AA and AAA batteries there at Intervine.com for 25% off. Just use my name, Tony, for that discount at Intervine.com. Mike, really appreciate your time as always, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Talk next Monday.
And happy birthday to your son. Have a great day. Yeah. Intervine, by the way, is INTERVINE.com. Use Tony for 25% off everything at Intervine.com. All right. Before we hand things off to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show this afternoon, we are going to talk to Josh Wilcutt. He is running for school board in the city of St. Charles. Those very important elections happening all across the area 1 week from tomorrow, and we're going to talk to Josh about those issues next on Colombo Company.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Tuesday, April 7th, your community is on the ballot. And before you vote, you need to know what you're voting on.
School board, city council.
News Talk STL has you covered. Log on to newstalkstl.com for our complete voter's guide. See the issues and races on your local ballot. Know the facts. Make your choice.
I think we need some kind of change.
Then get out and vote. Because local elections aren't decided by millions. They're decided by you.
My vote counts.
See the complete voter's guide at newstalkstl.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
There are two things we know for sure about leftists. First, they don't think that you should have a gun to protect yourself, your family. The second, they are hypocrites. There are thousands of examples. Let's just focus on one, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. He has backed some of Illinois' most restrictive gun policies. Of course, that policy of guns for me, not thee, is common with the left. Remember Hillary Clinton proclaiming guns will not make America safer. Of course, she says that, surrounded by Secret Service protection. And she's entitled to that as a wife of a former president. I have no issue with that. But her preaching about what protection you should or should not have, yeah, well, there's where I have a break. Take note of this. The National Shooting Sports Foundation did some figuring and found that Chicago Mayor Johnson's armed security force cost taxpayers about $30 million a year. $30 million. That could pay for another 150 Chicago police officers. Yeah, as I said in the beginning, we know two things about leftists. They don't want you to have a gun, and they are hypocrites.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website napolistl.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com, treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story when I was going to be a Golden Gloves boxer.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Oh, welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Thanks again to Mike McClary from Intervine, our AI expert here on the show. Great conversation with Mike in that last segment. And as I mentioned, joining us now live in studio. I love when company comes over in person. We have Josh Wilcutt. He is running for school board in the city of St. Charles. This is, these school board elections and this election that is happening a week from tomorrow with so many school boards and other really important things on that ballot. We have a guide on our website, newstalkstl.com, a voter's guide to get you, more familiar with all the issues and things that are going to be on the ballot next week. And so important to be paying attention to this, especially as a parent with kids, in elementary school and high school in the area, as so many of you are as well. These are really important issues, and I really appreciate you being here, Josh, to talk about them.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
As I mentioned, Josh is running for school board in the city of St. Charles. And you have everybody's got a story, and unfortunately, some of us have very negative stories to tell about some of our experiences in recent years with various school boards. I've told many about why we moved our family a few years ago from North County, where I was born and raised, out to St. Charles County because some of the issues that we were having with the schools there in North County. And, you have some personal experience as well that's sort of, leading your, that put this as a priority for you to focus on, making sure that our schools are run properly and the transparency is there. So tell people a little bit about you and your candidacy and your story about why this is important to you.
Sure. So I got involved in school board races because my son was discriminated against. He has special needs, but he's an amazing kid. Mm-hmm. They gave me one IEP meeting for both of my kids together, and that's a very clear violation of federal law and their own policies. When I went to the district, went to the superintendent, followed my chain of command. I am a combat vet, so
thank you for your service.
Thank you. I went and followed the chain of command, went to the superintendent, he gaffed me off, went to our school board, they gaffed me off, and this is a very clear violation of law. From that point on, we have been engaged, and we have been advocating for a bill to mandate parental consent as required for IEP changes. But my son started a business, and then after that business was formed, we met hundreds of other families that really was like, this is happening to us too. We are fighting for our basic rights that's already afforded to us in law.
And I think that's important there. This isn't something that happened like this year. This is something that's been happening for a while, and a fight that you have been and your son have been engaged in for a while. The idea of transparency and parents' rights. And there's lots of other issues, but I can't think of one that's bigger than that, because that was front and center for us moving. Parents should be involved and informed when these things are happening.
Absolutely. And one of the things that happened in our family that was kind of the trigger point for me to run for office, during the process of trying to advocate for my son's rights, the district tried to silence my son. He spoke about it in his testimony. Then they tried to silence me. And recently, our district enjoined a lawsuit using our tax dollars to try to fight against our ability to vote on Prop RT. They didn't tell us how much money this was going to cost. They didn't tell us how long this lawsuit was going to happen. So on one hand, they're saying that funding is questionable, and instead of putting it in classrooms, they're putting it in attorneys' pockets, using our tax dollars for that whole purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just felt a need to stand up for the regular person, the average citizen, the retiree that doesn't have any kids in school but are tired of the taxes.
Yeah, their tax money is still being used for these things. And, whether you have kids in school or not, you have a vested interest in this because it's your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other piece is, and the other trigger part is we had 2 teachers that were arrested for inappropriate behavior in our district. One, I read the indictment, and the guy was involved in sex trafficking, and he was involved in really horrible things in 2023. And the latest one was in 2024, and the guy got arrested from our high school. And that was concerning to me. Like, why is the guy getting arrested directly from the high school? We need to increase our relationship with law enforcement. We need to strengthen our policies and make sure that bad guys aren't around our kids. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. As I watched everything progress, the NEA and the other left-wing group, St. Charles County Families for Public Schools, that group still endorsed my son's discriminators. And before I even knew that education was partisan, they all knew that the discrimination happened. So on one hand, they're literally lying to the voters, So
we've talked a lot about this with various folks running for school board or on the school board, and we're talking about education issues. Finally, now I think more parents are starting to get engaged, but we still got a long way to go.
We do
with that, and I think we are just realizing with stories like yours just how much has been hidden and kept from us. And there's so many stories that you could talk about over the years where the cover up is almost worse than the actual issue, the lies that come after it. And I think this is with your story, the issue itself is just as bad, if not worse. But the cover up, the desperation of to not share these things with parents or the public, or to cover up, what these districts perceive as bad press. Where the truth is, we would probably all really appreciate and trust you more if we knew you were telling us when the bad things were happening. But they don't. And it's stories like yours, Josh, that really show that this is not something that's just a concern now. It's been going on for a long time.
Absolutely.
And if we don't get involved and do something about it and put people in place that are going to, insist on this transparency and expose what's happening, then we're going to, our kids are going to continue to suffer from it.
Yeah, as a combat vet, I had mortars over my head. School board meetings do not scare me. They just don't. I mean,
I would imagine not.
But I do think that, and whenever we're talking about responsible use of our tax dollars, especially for kids with special needs, that I have met more parents that are fighting to have their rights, the rights already in law, met.
Yeah.
Than I had ever thought.
Yeah.
I thought it was a one-off thing. And that's what the district tried to play it off as. But as my son was out in the community showing them that they were wrong, I met hundreds of other families. And so we decided to be part of the change.
Yeah.
We decided to stand up for families that don't have a voice. We decided to help people find resources in our community. That's one of the things that I think I would like to do if I got elected. We have a vast number of community resources in our community. Most families don't know where to go. You may have a kid that has behavior issues that's not behaving well in school. Sure, the behavior needs to be addressed, but sometimes the parent needs to take the kid to an outside professional to get help. I know personally my son benefited from using outside physical therapy services, So that's one of the things that we've been trying to do on the back end.
Yeah, just making all of that more transparent and available.
Yeah,
and providing that information.
Yeah,
to parents and students.
We are already the service is already there, and there's some really awesome services in our community, man. There's equestrian therapy for people with disabilities. There's DASA has athletic competitions for it, and it's not just for kids with special needs either. There's camps that I didn't even know existed for regular students that families may want to partake of, and I think that we just need to do a better
job of putting that information out there.
Yeah.
Making people aware of these
absolutely.
Existing services that they can benefit from. And I think I really appreciate this conversation, and we continue to talk about these elections that are happening next week, a week from tomorrow. Josh Wilcutt, who's running for school board in the city of St. Charles, is in studio with us. How important is it that parents get involved? And what's the best way for them to do so? If they want to, if they have a suspicion that something's being kept from them, or they want to get more information from their schools, do you go to the teachers? Do you go to the principals? Do you go to the school board? Like, as parents are starting to get more and more involved, do you vote for the right candidates in the school board? Like, what's the way that they can make their voices heard and insist on these things that you're talking about?
I think it's not just parents. I think it's the community as a whole.
Yeah.
I think that I've door knocked tons during this campaign. And the one thing that it doesn't matter on a political ideology, families want their kids to go to a safe school.
Yeah.
Teachers don't want to work around creeps. This is not difficult
That's
things.
not Republican, Democrat. Yeah.
This
parents have the right to know what is happening in the classroom with their kids. That's not conservative or liberal. That's just common sense.
And on one aspect, we are always tasked with voting for additional bond measures, which increases long-term debt in the end, but they're not informing us of the entire financial picture. It's like, going to an auto mechanic and saying, it's going to be $3,000, but we're not going to tell you what it's for.
Right, exactly. Exactly. No, I mean, that's a real analogy. That's a real accurate analogy, and it's just that ridiculous when you think about it, with the way that many of these school districts have kept things from the public and from parents for so long. So, as I mentioned, this is Josh Wilcutt running for school board of the city of St. Charles. I hope we get another chance to talk to you again soon, but the election's right around the corner, a week from tomorrow. If people want to learn more about you and the issues that you're focused on and about, what's happening with schools in the city of St. Charles, your website, social media, where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, I got a Facebook page, Josh Wilcutt, for St. Charles School District. You can Google it. My son's website is jakesgyms.com with 2 J's. You can actually watch our testimony that we had in the house. My son's a fighter, but
that's awesome.
my son knows how to love probably better than anybody else I know in my life.
That's
and
incredible.
one of the things that is important, I think, for everyone to understand is people like my son, their greatest defense is their voice.
Yeah.
So when a district tries to silence a student like that, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's very scary,
Josh Wilcutt, thank you so much for your time today, for talking to us about these issues. Good luck in the election next week. Again, we have an election guide for the April 7th elections a week from tomorrow up on our website, newstalkstl.com. I encourage you to go check it out and make sure your voice is heard next week as well. Josh, thanks so much.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Great to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for us this afternoon. Colombo and Company back tomorrow at 2. In the meantime, keep it here for O'Reilly next, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the free market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, it's good to hear you.
Hey, Dad, isn't it good to see ya?
Yep, but with smoke alarms, we need to hear them. If one alarm is downstairs, you might not hear it upstairs.
At school, everyone hears the fire alarm.
That's why we install hardwired smoke alarms that all go off together, just like school.
Smoke alarms done the right way.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It is Monday, March 30th, 2026. Here's what's happening today in America. Preparing for ground control. Bombing stopped. Tiger flips and overruled.